If you grew up in a narcissistic dysfunctional family system, then this means that you were assigned a role or roles. Because when it comes to a narcissistic dysfunctional family system, understand that the children are there to meet the parents' needs instead of the other way around. Again, we're talking about dysfunction here. So it is important to understand the roles that you were assigned, because what you need to do is to shed these roles. Now, the two roles that you were most likely assigned are scapegoat and or the lost child. So when it comes to the scapegoat, then the scapegoat essentially is the receptacle for the family's trauma. You are their emotional dumping ground. You are their designated emotional tampon. And when it comes to the lost child, then the lost child is kind of off to the side and nobody pays attention to them. And oftentimes, if you were the lost child, then you kind of knew innately that you needed to not show up as your authentic self, because this would mean that you would get neglected or abused. So understand that lost child or the scapegoat was a role that you were assigned, but you yourself are not a scapegoat, or you yourself are not a lost child. Oftentimes you will see when scapegoats and lost children grow up, they will have anxiety issues, the issues with depression and emotional dysregulation, self-confidence issues, and so on. And this is really coming from the dysfunctional family system. You inherited the trauma, right? So it's going to take some time for you to let go of this trauma. But the first step here is to recognize that you were put into a role. Oftentimes, if you were the lost child or the scapegoat, then this means that you were also parentified, where your parental figures were relying on you as if you were an adult. So again, you're draining the life out of you when they should have been pouring into you. Now, here is the silver lining if you were the scapegoat and or the lost child. With awareness, you can end the cycle. And if you're on channels like NarcDojo and the other narcissistic abuse recovery channels, then you are already taking the first steps. So the first thing that I want you to do now is to commend yourself. This is a great feat. And this is because most people do not end the cycle. For example, if you're on this channel, then this means that you most likely attracted a narcissistic, egomaniac type individual. And this is because as empathetic people, as kind people, oftentimes we are internalizers. So we will take on other people's emotions, which is why it is important that we develop boundaries, right? So as internalizers, then we're taking on the scapegoat role. We're believing that we are unworthy, etc. And this leads to, again, low self-confidence as you get older, low self-esteem. If you maintain the role, again, you have to shed this role and tap back into your authentic self. Now, here's the thing for scapegoats and lost children. Oftentimes, as internalizers, we grow up and we identify, however conscious or subconscious, with the enabling parent. And who do enablers attract? Narcissists. Say that again. If you are watching these videos, because I talk to very particular people when I make these videos, you were most likely assigned the scapegoat role and or the lost child. So you were pushed out onto the last ring in this dysfunctional family system, which means that your needs were met the least. Scapegoats and lost children, because they are oftentimes internalizers. As empathetic, kind people, we are truth seekers, we are truth tellers. However, because of this, in a lot of ways, we identify with the enabler, people pleasing parent. So we develop codependent issues. Again, we're on our healing journey. However, understand that people pleasers, overgivers, because again, we need to develop those boundaries, often attract narcissists. And when you take a look at this dysfunctional family system people, oftentimes you will see where the golden children end up to be like the narcissistic enabler, the narcissistic egomaniac parent. A lot of you have golden children sibling. Who did they take off of? You can almost bet that they grew up to be egotistical. All right. So understand that being a scapegoat or a lost child is a role that you were placed into. However, based on your vantage point, you actually have the best view. And this is because you are far enough away to see the forest for the trees. Most golden children do not wake up. And this is because they're too close to the narcissistic parent. Take a look here at the dysfunctional family system, solar system. Understand that the narcissistic parent is a black hole. They are not a vibrant light. A black hole is a collapsed star. It is a black hole. It absorbs light. And oftentimes the golden children get sucked into this black hole. So they end up again like the narcissistic parent. However, because you are on the outside ring here, you have more of a chance of being awakened if you continue on your healing journey.